Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. See, I said it right. It's 12:30 in the afternoon on Thursday. And since it's a Tuesday or Thursday, I'm Hank Philippi Ryan, and this is First Chapter Fun. I'm not sure if I'm live on Facebook yet. It's telling me I am, but so send me some comments so I know that you're here on Facebook. I can see that Tracy and Cadenhead, I wonder what that means, is on Instagram. So good. I'm glad we're broadcasting on Instagram, and I think we're here on Facebook. It says I'm live, but send me a comment or two. There's never a dull moment, isn't there? This is the moment of suspense every Tuesday and Thursday when Hannah Mary McKinnon and I bring you First Chapter Fun, and we never know what technological surprises here on Facebook and here on Instagram will have in store for us. Today, of course, there's, hi Beth, thank you. I'm glad there is now a comment on Facebook because now I can see that I'm not talking to nobody. Also, I see the little eyeballs going up, but I'm never sure until I see your comments. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Susan. Great. This is fabulous, and I'm so glad you're here, Carol and Jess. Jess Montgomery is here, and hi, Jumba from Ohio. This is our book. This is why Jess Montgomery is here. Okay, so here's the other thing. I'm going to try to show you this, but it's not only, there we go, for Instagram, and here we try, make an attempt for Facebook to show you the hollows. Today, this is a great way of showing it, isn't it? But let's just see, it's sort of the animated version of The Hollows by Jess Montgomery. Today, we not only have the vagaries of Facebook and Instagram, but we have the sun pouring through my window here in Boston. So it's a beautiful October day, which is great, but there is no way I can stop the sun from pouring in here since it just started doing this like 3 minutes ago, of course. So we will have to go with what we've got here. Hi, Carolyn. Hi. Oh, look, we have so many people coming in on Instagram and so many people coming in on Facebook. That's just great. And I know you are eager to hear this first chapter of the wonderful book we have today. Hey, Hannah is here on Instagram. We just talked about what a sunny day it is in Boston, and the sun is blasting through the window. So that's just what everybody needs. Hi, Daisy. Hi, Jess. It is exciting, Jess Montgomery, to be reading from The Hollows today. I'm going to do my best to show this book, although there goes the sun. Now we'll see whether we can, isn't this fun? Battling Mother Nature, battling technology to show the hollows. Yeah, it's a beautiful, evocative cover with the mist through the Appalachians. And Lily, Sheriff Lily, is walking down the railroad tracks. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Happy October, you all. Happy October. Do you say, hi Al, hi, it's Cynthia again. Tracy says hola on Instagram, and Carla Oh Hooray is here on Facebook. Great. It's so nice to see you all. Thank you. Happy October. You know, when I woke up this morning and saw the clock that has the date, and I saw that it said October 1st, and I thought, oh, rabbit, rabbit. Do you say rabbit, rabbit on the first day of the month? Where did that come from? Anyway, do you have any idea why people say that? You know, I tell myself, hi, Glennie. I tell myself I'm not going to care about rabbit, rabbit, and that's a silly superstition, and I'm not going to say it. Then I think, well, okay, but what if I should say it? And really, it can't hurt to say it. Hannah's saying, LOL, no, rabbit, rabbit. That is interesting. Does anybody else know about this? You've got to say rabbit, rabbit on the first day of the month, right? You say that, right? Daisy is saying she's watching and listening to this as a passenger on a road trip from Austin, Texas to Chicago. That's exciting. Well, I hope you're not driving. And that's kind of cool that we're in a car or a train. A train, I guess. A car, I guess, on the road. So Hannah's putting up little rabbits. Jen is saying, good reference question. Yes, a librarian will be able to find out where rabbit, rabbit came from. Susan's saying she never heard rabbit, rabbit. Now, I did not make this up, right? You all know this. You've all heard this. This isn't just my family. Okay, so Cynthia is saying, yes, it's a New England thing. Oh, a New England thing. Well, that would be interesting if you could. Okay, Glennie is saying, Rabbit, rabbit, rabbit is a superstition found in Britain and North America wherein a person says or repeats the word rabbit or rabbits or rabbit or white rabbits aloud upon waking the first day of the month to ensure good luck for the rest of it. So okay, so but why? What? That's okay. I love that, and that's exactly what we do. We say, well, my husband doesn't. He thinks that's kind of weird, but I say to myself, rabbit, rabbit, so nobody has to hear me. So you let me know if you say rabbit, rabbit, and Jen will find out why. Oh, Yankee Magazine says had an article on it this morning. All right, so we want a full report on why it says that we're supposed to say rabbit, rabbit. And honestly, I mean, would you ever talk about this kind of thing if it weren't for First Chapter Fun? This is why Hannah Mary McKinnon and I have this community of people so we can talk about whatever we want and ask whatever we want and find out the scoop on everything, especially on good books. And that is why today we have episode 95 here on Facebook and here on Instagram of First Chapter Fun, which is really, really crazy. Beth is saying, I've never heard of it in the Midwest, thinking we need it this month. You are so right, Beth, because whatever works, whatever can bring luck, if we all say it, that's going to be, can't hurt, as I say, right? Can't really hurt. Let's just say rabbit, rabbit. We can say rabbit, rabbit every day if it's going to make a difference. So whatever. Okay, digression. This is what Jen loves, the adieu before we're reading the book, but I'm sort of letting you all congregate and arrive, and I see some new names, and that is always wonderful. Hannah and I are so happy when you bring friends or when you tell your friends about First Chapter Fun, because we always have, I'm just sitting here watching the light change, aren't you? We always have a wonderful new first chapter to read to you, and it's really exciting for us. When we get the chapters or when we get the books by mail or on email, and we open them up and we get to read them often for the first time. And I think at least, and I know Hannah does too, you think, wow, people will love this. People will absolutely love this. And that's how I feel today. Carolyn says I should make my students log on. What do you teach, Carolyn? And if you teach anything that has to do with English or writing or reading or philosophy or psychology or anything like that, or storytelling in any way, we would love to have your students log on to First Chapter Fun and come join us. Take the day off to read is here waving back to you on Instagram. Susan saying it now, saying rabbit, rabbit now. I mean, it's all language arts, grade 10 honors, Carolyn says. Wouldn't that be fun to have the grade 10 language arts class here? We would love that. We would welcome them. That would be absolutely great. Hey, take the day off to read on Instagram. Hello, back to you. Okay, I think we may be all here, at least for the time being. And I want to, first of all, second of all, third of all, three big things. One, there is a giveaway today. The fabulous Jess Montgomery is giving away a copy of The Hollows. Here it is on Instagram. Here it is on Facebook. I am doing my best, ladies and gentlemen, to show you this. It is impossible. The sun is terrible. The light is terrible. The glare is terrible. There we go. Okay, it's not going to work. But anyway, this is The Hollows by Jess Montgomery. It is the second in a trilogy of stories, but you can read them absolutely in any order. And the fabulous author, Jess Montgomery, is giving away a copy here on Facebook today and here on Instagram today. But you know how Instagram, when we put the reading on the stories, on the Instagram stories, the comments just disappear. On Facebook, we put the videos up on videos, or what's it called now, Hannah? It's called something else, not videos. When we put the videos up on Facebook, the comments stay, and that's really fun to read. And that's where you can always ask questions of the author. And I know Jess will come answer your questions here on Facebook. How much research did she do? Was there really a female sheriff in 1926? All that kind of fun stuff. and how she allows you to read these books as standalones, even though there's sort of a trilogy. Hey, Pugs and Pages. And the second, so giveaway. So here on Instagram, there's a giveaway, but do it fast because comment fast because we have to pick a commenter before we put the video in the archive. Here on Instagram, comment fast because why not, really? And we will pick a winner almost instantly when this reading is over. So let me take you back a little bit to 1926, and that is where The Hollows takes place. So think about 1926, almost 100 years ago, crazily. It's interesting to think that most of the people alive in 1926 would have lived through the flu pandemic of 1918. So that's kind of interesting. That's for the way the world was working now. And after the pandemic of 1918 came the Roaring Twenties. And that's interesting if you think about the response to that and how the pendulum sort of swung back. This takes place in Ohio, in Appalachia, in rural Ohio in 1916. 1916 was, 1926, I want to make that clear, 1926. 1926 was when the highway numbering system went into effect. So essentially that's when we got Route 66 and all the numbered highways that we have now. That started in 1926. The president was Calvin Coolidge. Ford Motor Company announced the 40-hour week, and that was incredibly innovative, as you know, at the time. And for us book people, which is all of us, Winnie the Pooh was first published, and Harper Lee was born. So you can see what a really pivotal, interesting time 1926 was, and that is where Jess Montgomery set The Hollows, and that is the book that we'll be reading most of the first chapter of today. The Hollows by Jess Montgomery. Very beautiful. I'm so sorry, Jess, darling one. This is just not doing your gorgeous cover justice, but there you have it. We'll show it again a couple of times, and possibly the light will change. I'm sure it will as we go through this, and we'll get a good picture of the cover. So let me tell you a little bit about Jess Montgomery. Again, remember there is a giveaway here on Instagram and one here on Facebook, so make sure you comment or ask a question. Jess Montgomery is the author of the Kinship Historical Mysteries, set in the 1920s, Appalachian Ohio, and inspired by Ohio's true first female sheriff. So it is based on something true, and that's going to be interesting to find out more about. So we should all ask Jess to tell us more about that. Under her given name, Jess is a newspaper columnist focusing on the literary life, authors, and events of her native Dayton, Ohio for the Dayton Daily News. She is Executive Director Emeritus of the Antioch Writers Workshop, which was such a wonderful event, and we need to talk about bringing that back. I was really looking forward to going and speaking at that workshop, so maybe we'll make that happen again, I hope, Jess. Her first novel in the Kinship Historical Mystery series garnered awards even before publication: the Montgomery County Arts and Cultural District Artist Opportunity Grant, the Individual Excellence Award in Literary Arts from the Ohio Arts Council, and she was the John E. Nance Writer in Residence at the Thurber House in Columbus, Ohio. I have to tell you, just parenthetically, how much I love James Thurber. His fables and the short stories and the cartoons. If you don't know James Thurber, if you haven't read The Night the Bed Fell or The Catbird Seat, he was the most hilarious, wry, droll writer that there has ever been. So what an honor, Jess, to be writer in residence at the Thurber House. Anyway, The Widows, the first novel in this series, and The Hollows are now available, and they come to you from Minotaur Books, and we are reading today with the kind permission of Jess Montgomery and from Minotaur Books. I'm going to just stop for 1 second because Jen is saying it's a common on Instagram, so I'll read this to you here on Facebook. It's a common belief among RAF bomber aircrew during World War II that saying white rabbits the very first thing upon waking would protect oneself. You know, again, That's interesting. Where did that come from? We need to do a little bit more. I mean, I love that it came from the RAF bombers during World War II. Why? What does White Rabbit mean? Does it come from Lewis Carroll? I wonder. Who knows? Who knows how imagination works? And that's one of the wonderful things about reading and writing and about being here today. Welcome to Jess Montgomery. Susan has some questions on. It was truly an honor to live and write for a month at Thurber House. I bet you were, Jess says, I bet you were absolutely sort of suffused with this knowledge that a great author had worked there before, and you were sort of sitting in his place with his muse, you hope, coming to visit you as well. So let's talk a little bit about the Hollows. And again, we have a giveaway. Here's what it says on the back cover. Ohio, 1926. For many years, the railroad track in Moonvale Tunnel has been used as a shortcut through the Appalachian Hills. When an elderly woman is killed walking along the tracks, the brakeman tells tales of seeing a ghostly female figure all dressed in white. Newly elected Sheriff Lily Ross is called to the case to dispel the myths. With the help of her friends Marvina Whitcomb and Hildy Cooper, Lily follows the woman's trail to the Hollows, a notorious asylum, and they begin to expose dark secrets long hidden by time and the mountains. You can tell it. This is atmospheric, Appalachians, and an asylum. You can just tell what kind of a book this is going to be. Talk about superstition, right? As we were talking this morning about Rabbit, talk about superstition, and you can see how much that is going to play a part in this book. So Lily Ross, the sheriff, and this is chapter 1, Tuesday, September 21st, 11:10 p.m., and it's entitled Lily. As promised, a man with a mule-drawn cart waits a mile or so from the turnoff onto Moonvale Hollow Road. Moonvale Hollow Road. I'm going to read it again. There's Moonvale Hollow Road in Massachusetts. I don't want to ruin this. Okay, chapter 1, Lily. Tuesday, September 21st, 11:10 p.m. As promised, a man with a mule-drawn cart waits a mile or so from the turnoff onto Moonvale Hollow Road. Lily Ross spots them in her headlights as she eases around a sharp turn. She pulls off to the side, relieved to come to a stop. Ever since turning off from Kinship Road, her Model T rattled in protest at ruts and jags, wheels jittery on dirt and gravel at her initial 15 miles per hour speed. She'd had to slow to 10, no use losing a tire. Now, as she stops, she sees the man, young, early 20s, one hand on the mule's lead, the other thumbing his overall strap. Lily turns off her automobile, picks up her flashlight, opens her door. She steps out carefully, her sight needing a moment to adjust to the moonlit night. When she does, she notes the man gaping at her, then grinning slowly. He can't see, or maybe can't read, Bronwyn County Sheriff emblazoned on the door. As she slips her keyring into her skirt pocket, she's recently added pockets to all of her skirts and dresses, even her Sunday dress. She briefly pulls back her jacket and touches her revolver, holstered around her waist. Then she reaches back in her vehicle, grabs the sheet she thought at the last minute to bring with her, and tucks it under her arm. She shuts the door, turns on her flashlight, shines it directly at the young man. He's still grinning, must not have noticed the revolver. "Ma'am, you need some help?" She turns the flashlight onto her sheriff's star pinned to her lapel. She takes a deep breath, notes the loamy dryness of the autumn air. Good. Rain would only disturb the body she has come for, the area around it. She hopes to see both as intact as possible. She turns her flashlight back onto the young man. He's no longer grinning. "My apologies, ma'am, Sheriff. No one done told me. You work for the B&R Railroad?" The young man straightens with pride. "Flagman, in training." Lily nods, steps forward toward the mule and cart, waiting at the head of the dirt path that actually leads to Moonvale Hollow Village. "Don't know how clean the straw bales in back are. If I'd have known..." The mule fusses as Lily approaches. She pats the flank of the poor beast, more than likely tired out from a day's work and now called into service at night. Lily, too, is bone weary after a long day. Just an hour earlier, she'd been tempted to ignore the knock at the door, probably Missy Ranklin again, giving to coming in late at night to complain about her husband Ralph, but never willing to file formal charges. On the off chance Missy might actually file a complaint that Lily could follow up on, Lily had answered the door. Instead of mousy Missy, a telegraph delivery boy greeted her. Lily's hand had trembled as she reached for the thin slip of paper. The last telegram she'd received just a year before had been from powerful Cincinnati attorney and big-time bootlegger George Vogel, offering to expel those responsible for her husband's death from the region. This telegram, though, was from the deputy station master for the B&R Railroad line in Moonvale Hollow Village. Someone had fallen from the top of the Moonvale Hollow Tunnel onto the train as it headed east to west. A B&R railroad man would meet her on Moonvale Hollow Road by the narrow dirt path that led to the village. Population 100 souls, depending on the ebb and flow of birth and death, existing only to serve as rail switching yard and depot, inaccessible by automobile. Folks can get in and out only by train, mule, or foot. She'd tipped the telegraph boy a dime to go fetch her closest friend, Hildy Lee Cooper, who lived a few doors down from the sheriff's house. Hildy, who also worked as the jail mistress, could always be relied upon to come stay with Lily's children, 7-year-old Jolene and 5-year-old Micah, when duty sometimes called Lily away of an evening. A few minutes later, the boy was back. Neither Hildy nor Hildy's mother was at the Cooper house. Lily spared a moment's worth of surprise to wonder where the two could be so late at night. But the more pressing matter was the dead person along the rail line in Moonvale Hollow Village. 2 more dimes sent the telegraph boy back out to fetch Lily's own mama, residing at the end of the street. As he left again, in the scant time it took Lily to put water on the stove to boil, rush upstairs to change into one of her older dresses and work boots, and then hurry down again, Mama was letting herself and Caleb Jr., Mama's change-of-life baby, same age as Lily's son, into the kitchen through the mudroom door. Lily gave her little brother a quick hug, then tucked him in under a quilt on the parlor settee. She retrieved her notebook and pencil from the roll-top desk, pulled open the top drawer to grab her flashlight, then hurried back into the kitchen. As Mama finished making the coffee, Lily got her revolver and sheriff's star from the top of the pie safe. While Mama poured Lily a cup of coffee, Lily explained, "I've been called out to investigate an accident on the rail line in Moonvale Hollow Village." Mama's eyes widened. Both knew of the remote village, the source of ghost stories children told one another, but neither had ever visited. There'd been no reason. Lily said, "I'm sure this investigation will go quickly, just a matter of some official paperwork with the rail company." Mama had looked relieved and said, "Good, you have the meeting first thing tomorrow morning to prepare for the debate with Perry Dyer and the Women's Club meeting coming up. And don't forget, you need to get your pie into the county fair." Lily groaned. "So you're running for sheriff in your own right." Mama cast a pointed glance at the top of the pie safe, from whence Lily had just grabbed her revolver and badge. Pushed to the back of the top was a red glass dish in which nested Lily's old best-in-show county fair pie ribbons, once a point of pride, now gathering dust. "They still want to know you're a woman." According to Perry Dyer, that's not a favorable asset. "Well, worse than a woman in a man's role is a woman who acts too much like a man." An argument Mama had made years before when Daddy had taken tomboy Lily on a hunting and fishing expedition. Lily gave Mama a reassuring smile. Mama had, after all, come quickly, dragging herself and Caleb Jr. out of bed and down to Lily's home, the county sheriff's house, as Mama did every time Lily asked. Now, at the mule cart, Lily hoists herself up and sits on the driver's bench. The mule heaves forward, but Lily pulls back gently on the reins. She looks at the young man, still gaping at her. "You planning to drive us there," she says, "or walk behind?" He glances over his shoulder, winces. He's holding his right shoulder tight to his collar. He looks back at her nervously. Anyone else coming? Lily bites her lip to stifle her sigh. It is, after all, 1926, and in the big cities, from what she reads in the newspapers anyway, standards have relaxed, but here in rural Ohio, it's still improper for an unmarried man and woman to be alone together. Son, she says, though at 28 she's barely older than he, like it or not, I'm the sheriff of Bronwyn County. She'd been appointed a year and a half before to serve her in her deceased husband's stead, then won a special election in November. I can question you while you drive us, or I can drive myself and ask you later when you catch up on foot and delay further your train getting back to running. I can reckon what your boss would prefer. The flagman in training hesitates, but as she lifts the reins, he hoists himself into the cart, plops on the driver's bench, and grabs the lead from her. A few jolting steps forward, and they're down the path, ducking so their heads don't knock into a broken, dangling limb of an oak. Overhead, tree limbs clutch one another, forming a tunnel of branch and leaf. Meager moonlight sifts onto their path, wide enough for the cart and mule. Lily glances over her shoulder. Already she cannot see the dangling limb or the rutted road where she left her automobile. It's cooler on the path, the dense forest exhaling the last of summer's warmth while inhaling the coming winter. The quietness of night thickens. An owl hoots from a distance, yet sounds as if it's beside her. Another animal, raccoon or fox or bobcat, rustles in the thicket. She asks, You came from Moonvale on this path? The man startles. He nods. Widest and easiest path in or out of Moonvale, so I was told. The way he draws out his vowels tells Lily he's from Appalachia, but not her part of it. Farther south, she reckons. Where are you from to begin with? Logan County, Kentucky. Coal mining territory. You're not working the mines there? He straightens, a mix of pride and defensiveness, winces again, that shoulder. I did, but I got out to work for real money, real job, not company scrip. He glances at her, wary and apologetic. I reckon you're not from coal. My daddy's people were, Lily says, meaning her father's father. He got out. He ran the grocery in Kinship. That sounds right nice. Yes. No need to say Daddy had died alongside a union organizer trying to rescue miners from a cave-in 2 years ago, on an autumn night like this one. Lily clears her throat. What can you tell me? All I know is someone fell from the top of the Moonvale Hollow tunnel. He stiffens. I was told to meet the sheriff man, bring him, you, to the scene. You didn't see what happened? No, ma'am. I was dozing in the crew car. How'd you hurt your shoulder? The flagman stares into the distance. For a long moment, the only sounds come from the forest, an owl cry, the chittering of crickets, a nearby stream. The young man clears his throat. Train stopped all of a sudden. I got thrown out of my bunk, hit the floor. So the train was going fast? No faster than usual. There's a tight defensiveness in his tone. Lily asks gently, What's usual? Coming out of the tunnel, maybe 20 miles an hour, and the brakemen would be fixing to slow her down before crossing another trestle bridge into the village. But you were asleep when the train stopped. Yep. So he wouldn't know whether the train was going at its usual speed. What did you do after the train stopped? Well, me and the flagman got off. The engineer ran back to the caboose, must have talked to the conductor. Lily turns on her flashlight, gets her notebook and pencil from her bag. Can you give me the names and titles of your crew? In the ambient light of her flashlight, she sees him purse his lips, reconsider how unconstrained he'd become with her. May ought to talk to the engineer about that. Lily makes herself sound aghast. I'd hate to delay the train for any longer than necessary. I reckon he'd appreciate you cooperating with me, speeding this along. He gives her the names and titles of the crew. When she finishes jotting them down, she shows him. He glances at the page. nods too quickly to have really proved her work. Ah, her earlier observation had been right. He can't read. She puts her notebook away, turns off her flashlight, and tucks it away too. Did you see the body after the train stopped or talk to any other crew members? No. I got off, waited with everyone else to find out what happened. So you stood alongside the train and you didn't do or observe anything? He frowns. Good. Let him be insulted enough to want to prove himself. Well, yeah, Mr. Green. The conductor? Lily hasn't forgotten already. Green is the engineer, but she's willing to play the dumb little lady from time to time to get more information from men than they intend to share. Sure enough, he says, I heard Mr. Green, the engineer, say he thought the person was female. The body clipped the side of a freight car, and the impact tossed it into the thicket between the track and the telegraph line. He clears his throat. I'm sorry if this is too much. No, go on. Well, that's about all I can tell you anyway. The conductor sent me to run down the line to the village to fetch the station master. After that, I was sent to wait for you. They ride on in silence for a few minutes more until the mule stops shy of an embankment. A harsh crop on the mule's flank, and the beast pulls them up and out of the branch and thicket tunnel, alongside the track. It takes a moment for Lily's vision to adjust to the brightness of the train headlight, to see westward down a steep grade of track to the tiny village, all shadows and torchlight. Lily cannot make out any buildings or people, but she imagines the torchlights are held by villagers, curious about the hullabaloo at the depot. Since her husband's death, Lily has found that the absences of ordinary, predictable sounds, Daniel shaving in the washroom, Daniel humming, Daniel sitting at the edge of their bed to pull on his boots, then clunking his feet on the floor, are more noticeable than the sounds themselves ever were. Lily wraps her arms around her midriff, a sudden hollowness roiling her gut. Perhaps it was like that for the villagers tonight. They were alarmed by the absence of the regular train whistle, the oral ghost of the expected discordant wail, and gathered outside to ask one another what might have happened. Ma'am, are you all right? Lily hoists herself off the cart and looks eastward at the train, the engine's bright headlight flooding the single track, the tunnel a distance behind the caboose. Above the tunnel to the full moon, and the tree-covered top of the Moonvale Hollow Tunnel, from whence the body, allegedly, had fallen. Can you just, okay, do you see why Hannah and I are so lucky to get to read these to you? Because I am just getting goosebumps reading this and imagining this. And aren't you too? I mean, you can, as the light changes crazily in this room, aren't you too? Can't you just see that and understand that and see how, you hear how smart Lily is, how she knows what she's doing, how she knows how to behave to people, and this sort of, this sort of step by step, you can hear the mule pulling them through these woods to what she doesn't know is going to be there. So that's just so interesting. Wendy is saying hi. Oh, Lynn is saying, I love stories about trains. My grandpa worked on trains all his life. Oh, that's so lovely. And I bet he had some great stories for you. I love trains. I love trains too. Remember trains? And we used to go on trains? Yeah. We'll be back to that. Glennie says, thank you. Carol says, really enjoying getting to know Lily. Yeah, I mean, it's great. And somebody was saying there's so much in that. There's just her double life, right? The loss of her husband and how that got pulled out from under her and how she took her husband's place and she has children and her mom is devoted to her and she used to make pies, but now in the place where the pies are kept, the pie safe, now there's a revolver and a sheriff's star. I mean, it's just so evocative and so symbolic and so wonderful. Jess, thank you for allowing us to read The Hollows here this morning. Again, I know you'll all want to find this. Oh, you don't want to find that now. That's my, oh yeah, computers. I know you'll all want to find The Hollows by Jess Montgomery and The Widows, the book that came before. You don't need to read them in order, but it might be fun too, and it just is equally enjoyable to read them in any order. And then there'll be the third book coming, which Jess, what is that book? Can you put in the comments? Do you have a title for the third book? Yes. Jenny Johnston Seward is saying, I love this. And Tracy Clark says, wow. And Carla says, wow. And Patricia Sands says, an intriguing beginning. Oh my golly, yes, I completely agree. So I'm just checking the comments to see if I missed any. If it's hard to read the comments while I'm reading because I'm so focused. Jen Jumba is saying, I just ordered The Widows. Great, good plan. And that is exactly what we are. Hannah Mary McKinnon and I are diabolical about this, right? We're going to hope that you buy new books, read new books, learn about a new author, learn about a new book, fall in love with a new book, just as I know you have in reading and hearing me read from The Hollows. So evocative and so atmospheric and so beautifully written. Agnes is saying, I love this platform, hearing the first chapter and opening the world of new authors. Yeah, isn't that so great? This was all Hannah Mary McKinnon's idea, and I'm the new kid, having started at episode 53 or so, and now we're on episode 93 or 95 or some crazy big number. And we are so happy, Agnes, that you are here, and so happy that all of you are here. And Jess is saying, the first true female sheriff in Ohio became sheriff in 1925. So the first novel in the series, The Widows, I'm saying this for you on Instagram because you can read it on Facebook. This said in 1925. This is the second book, 1926. And you can, and she says it's also an interesting year for part of the plot, which I don't want to spoil. Yes, don't do that. Don't do that. So Jess, thank you so much. And I know you'll be picking a winner. Kimberly has a Moonvale, Ohio t-shirt. Yes, we definitely want to see that. That would be fantastic. Your wonderful comments. Nancy saying, I don't want you to stop reading. Great story so far. It is a great story throughout. Nancy, nice to see you. Are you new? SM Geis, are you new also? This is great that we're seeing so many new people. Love that, love that, love that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so nice to see you all here. And Jess has randomly chosen Susan Hanson Holtz on Facebook or Instagram. Anyway, Susan Hanson Holtz, one of our devoted first chapter fun fans. So it is very nice that you randomly chose her to win. Let's talk about briefly, as Jess is choosing her winners. We have, of course, more wonderful books, trying to get the story, more wonderful books to read you here on First Chapter Fun. And Susan is saying, okay, Jess is giving us the scoop. Yes, as investigative reporter, we know it's called, Jess is saying the new book is called The Stills, coming out on March 9th, 2021. March 9th, 2021. It's focusing on prohibition. So can we read the first chapter? Can we get the first chapter before, when it's in the advanced reader copy version? Could we do that? We would love to do that, Jess. And so Hannah and I are going to try to twist your arm to let us read that here on First Chapter Fun, maybe even before it comes out. That would be great. SM Geis started the other day, she said, met you both at Barnes & Noble Book Club. That's great. I love that. Brenda Novak's book club. Okay, that makes more sense. Brenda Novak's book club. If you don't belong to Brenda Novak's book club, she is amazing. Hannah's book and my book, Sister Dear and The First to Lie, were both chosen as the monthly reads for the Brenda Novak Book Club. And that's so nice that you are here with us, SM Geis. I wish I knew your first name. Anyway, okay, Hank is talking too much. Yes, you're saying that. Next Tuesday, another wonderful, another treasure of a historical novel. The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff. Look at that. The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff. And it is fantastic. Takes place in 1946. And it starts when a woman in Grand Central Station finds an envelope full of photographs. And it turns out that these photographs are of 12 women who, well, you will just have to come on Tuesday and hear us read from The Lost Girls of Paris by Pam Jenoff. She is a fantastic author, and she is the New York Times bestselling author of The Orphan's Tale. Look at that terrific cover. Another historical novel, but takes place 20 years later than today's The Hollows by Jess Montgomery. So see you Tuesday. What a fantastic book that is going to be. Al is saying, oh, and on Instagram, thank you, Jess. Patricia L. Sands is our winner here on Instagram. So that's marvelous, Patricia. If you'll contact Jess via message on Instagram, or you can contact Hannah or me and we will connect you. The same with you, Susan. Contact me or Hannah or Jess and we will connect you to make sure that you get your books. Hey, Wendy. You all, oh, Al is saying, anyway, Al Pessin is saying, since I forgot this morning, I must now say Tibber, 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 rabbit backwards. You see, these things just grow. These things just grow. So whether you say rabbit, rabbit, rabbit this morning or Tibber, Tibber, Tibber this afternoon, we love you here at First Chapter Fun. We're so pleased to see you and so happy that you're here. Until Tuesday, please stay safe, stay kind, and happy reading. We'll see you next time.